Sir James Arthur Ratcliffe FIChemie is a British billionaire, chemical engineer, and businessman. Ratcliffe is the chairman and chief executive officer of the INEOS Chemicals Group, which he founded in 1998. The company is estimated to have had a turnover of $65 billion in 2021. Former chemical engineer James Ratcliffe is the founder, chairman, and majority owner of chemical powerhouse INEOS Group. The London-based conglomerate produces everything from synthetic oils and plastics to solvents to make insulin and antibiotics. It's become one of the UK shale sector's most prominent players. Its 600-foot Dragon ships were the first to transport US shale gas into Europe. Ratcliffe mortgaged his house in 1992 to lead the buyout of a BP Chemicals business. 6 years later, he bought a plant from that firm to form INEOS. INEOS acquired 2 chemicals businesses from BP in 2021 for $5 billion. It started petrochemical JVs with Sinopec worth more than $7 billion in 2022. In 2023, INEOS acquired $1.4 billion of U.S. onshore oil and gas assets from Chesapeake Energy. Who is Sir Jim Ratcliffe? The billionaire buying 25% of Manchester United, and how he made his fortune. Here, Sky News looks at what we know about the billionaire, and what impact he could have. The UK's second richest person is committing £245 million of his multi-billion pound fortune to Manchester United as part of a deal to acquire a 25% stake. Fans disillusioned by the club's direction under the polarising Glazer family will hope Sir Jim Ratcliffe, a lifelong Manchester United fan, will help both on and off the pitch. It has been widely reported that he will be granted some form of control over the football side of the business as part of his agreement to buy a quarter of the club. Many observers suggest the deal will include an agreed route to assuming full ownership or control. Here's a look at Sir Jim's professional background, how he acquired his fortune, why the billionaire wants a stake in the club, and what impact he could have. What does he do for work? Sir Jim is the founder, chairman, and majority owner of British petrochemicals empire INEOS. The firm generates $65 billion, £52.6 billion, annually. A former chemical engineer, Sir Jim, founded the company in May 1998 to lead the buyout of a BP Chemicals business. The site in Antwerp was bought for £84 million and employed 400 people. Sir Jim's INEOS operates 194 sites across 29 countries today and employs more than 26,000 people. How much is he worth? A total of £23.3 billion, according to the 2023 Sunday Times Rich List. The 71-year-old is second only to Gopi Hinduja and his family, who are behind the Indian conglomerate Hinduja Group and are worth £35 billion. Second place marked a meteoric rise for Sir Jim, who ranked 27th in the 2022 Rich List. He was undoubtedly no pauper back then, boasting an estimated wealth of £6.075 billion. His worth has fluctuated in recent years. He topped the UK-only list in 2018 when his wealth was estimated at £21.05 billion. Sports Ventures. His deal with Manchester United would be far from his first step into the sporting world. In recent years, Sir Jim and his chemicals company cohort have become prominent in football, Formula One, cycling, and rugby through their sporting branch. INEOS Sports. Here's a timeline of Sir Jim and INEOS Sports deals. December 2010, INEOS becomes front-of-shirt sponsor of Lausanne Hockey Club. November 2017, INEOS takes over Swiss football club FC Lausanne-Sport. April 2018, Sir Jim takes over a British sailing team to create what is now INEOS Britannia, led by one of the most successful Olympic sailors of all time, Sir Ben Ainslie. May 2019, he acquired the British cycling team, now known as the INEOS Grenadiers. August 2019, he buys top-tier French football club Nice. December 2020, Sir Jim becomes part owner of the Mercedes Formula One team. He owns a third alongside Daimler and Toto Wolff. July 2021, Ineos becomes New Zealand Rugby and the teams in black kit sponsors in a multi-million-pound deal. January 2022, Ineos forms a partnership with record-breaking Kenyan long-distance runner Eliud Kipchoge and the NN running team that he is part of. The most critical perceived factor has been that the billionaire was born in Manchester and has been a lifelong club supporter. However, he had made his goal of buying into a Premier League side clear long before bidding for the Old Trafford club. In April 2022, he tabled a bid to buy Chelsea for £4.25 billion. Eventually losing out to a consortium led by American businessman Todd Boehly. It was the second time he had been linked with the London club, having explored in detail a possible bid back in 2019, only to buy French club Nice instead. Here's a look at how Sir Jim's deal with the Glazers is expected to work. Sky News exclusively revealed that the billionaire would pledge to make the £245 million investment alongside acquiring a shareholding likely to be worth more than £1.25 billion. Sources told Sky News Mark Kleinman the £245 million investment would be staggered, with the bulk of it being handed to the club by the end of the year. They added that it would be financed by Sir Jim personally and would not add to United's existing borrowings. Adding together the stock purchase cost and the other capital for investment means that Sir Jim will commit about £1.5 billion on day one of his United interest. However, that figure could vary depending on the price he ultimately pays for the shares. One source close to the talks said the additional £245 million investment would be focused on United's physical infrastructure and not on addressing deficiencies on the playing side of the club. What's the problem at Man United? It's no secret that United are struggling both in their domestic and European competitions in the early stages of this season. They were also knocked out of the Carabao Cup by Newcastle in November. United won that same competition last year and managed to finish third in the league under manager Erik ten Hag, who impressed in his first season at the helm. But those achievements were still nowhere near the heights fans became accustomed to during Sir Alex Ferguson's nearly 27-year career as manager, in which United won more than 30 trophies, including 13 Premier League titles. The last time United won the league was when Sir Alex retired in 2013. They have gone through 5 permanent managers in the 10 years since: David Moyes, Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and Erik ten Hag, as well as interim manager Ralf Rangnick and caretaker managers Ryan Giggs and Michael Carrick. Nearly £2 billion has been spent on players in that time, too. The current owners, the relative lack of success has piled pressure on the already widely reviled Glazer family, who have purportedly been trying to sell the club for the past year. American tycoon Malcolm Glazer took control of United in June 2005, but the deal was hugely unpopular with fans because it was financed primarily through loans secured against the club's assets. Within a year of the leveraged buyout, Mr. Glazer had 2 strokes, and his 6 children, Avram, Joel, Brian, Kevin, Darcy, and Edward, ran United, all sitting on the board of directors. The Glazers' £790 million takeover loaded United with debt at around £500 million this time last year. The club was debt-free before the takeover. There have been regular protests at Old Trafford ever since the initial takeover. Although the Glazer family has continued to make large amounts of money from United, fans' anger has been exacerbated by the perceived incompetence they have overseen on the football side of the club. Other clubs, including many with much smaller resources than England's most successful ever side, have established far more effective structures and scouting setups, which see them sign players who fit into a long-term strategy that successive managers are expected to adhere to. United, however, have employed and later sacked a series of coaches with contrasting footballing philosophies, with hundreds of millions spent on players to suit each manager's approach. It has left the club with one of the league's highest wage bills and with players who are challenging to sell because their salaries are so high despite their underperformance on the pitch. Could Sir Jim turn the club around? Former Man United captain and current Sky Sports pundit Gary Neville, a vocal critic of the Glazers, gave Sky Sports News his views on the potential Ineos buy-in. He said, "We need to hear the full proposal and how it will work. You don't sit here as a Manchester United fan, wholly impressed by the idea of £245 million going in to improve the stadium. We know that is not going to touch the sides properly of a full refurb of Old Trafford, but what it is a significant amount of money, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe is a smart and successful businessman. He's not going to put £245 million into something and let it go down the drain, so I suspect it is probably the first installment of some sort of plan that means that they will phase the refurbishment of the stadium over 2 or 3 different seasons. It sounds to me like they will do it in phases." Sir Jim's influence is key, says Neville. Neville also suggested the amount of control Sir Jim is afforded by the Glazers could prove to be just as pivotal as his investment. "I'm hoping he is negotiating to take as much power and control as he possibly can and fixing as many things as he possibly can so that the Glazers can't wriggle on him when he gets through the door," Neville said. "There is a lot to do at Manchester United, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe, with his 25% stake, is not going to be able to fix everything on day one, but what I would hope is that he is able to communicate a clear plan. We must be clear that the football side of things is the most important thing, first team performance, that needs to be dealt with first and will make everybody feel better about themselves. He will have to impact the culture of the whole club and the feeling in the whole club, he will have to touch every point in the club.